Hi, my name is Mckane Ellis, and today I'm going to be showing how I made some cool dice using various manufacturing and finishing techniques for my ME 499 final project. For this project I'll be making 3 dice, a wooden one, a resin one, and finally a metal one. First I'll go over the manufacturing of the wooden one. I started with some stock hardwood that I then cut to length using a circular saw. Using a caliper and some sandpaper, I was able to dial in the dimensions to that of a standard dice. Since Ipe was used, this sanding process took quite a while. Once the final dimensions were reached, the dimples representing the numbers on the dice were then drilled in. Now let's move on to the resin dice. I started this process off by ordering silicone molding mix and 2-part epoxy casting resin from Amazon. I then used a store-bought plastic dice to create the mold. The dice was set on some clay to raise it above the bottom and create the sprue. Once the mold was cured, I cut it open and removed the stand-in die. The 2-part epoxy resin was then mixed. To avoid air bubbles, I used warm water to keep the epoxy runny. This did help a bit, but it wasn't perfect. I would definitely like to use a vacuum chamber next time. Once the epoxy had been fully combined, I added an orange pigment to give it color. I made sure that the mold was securely closed, and I poured in the casting resin. After about a day, the resin had cured and it was removed from the mold. Finally, let's go over the process for making the aluminum dice. I started with bar stock aluminum I picked up from the scrap pile. The stock was then cut to length on the cold saw and milled down to the correct dimensions. Finally, I used a drill bit to make the number divots. Once I was done with the shape, I finished the dice with an anodizing process. I ran a small current through this acid bath and waited an hour while the oxidation took place. After the hour had passed, the dice was removed and neutralized, then placed in some warm dye to add color, and finally boiled in hot water to lock in the dye. And here they are. I loved the different weights and feel of the 3 dice. Thanks for watching.